Good afternoon. So unit for digital CMOS circuit. So first point is power delay product. So in digital electronics, the power delay product is a figure of merit correlated with energy efficiency of logic gate or logic family. Also known as a switching energy, it is a product of power consumption that is averaged over a switching event times the input output delay or duration of the switching event d. So it has a dimension of the energy and measure the energy consumed per switching event. The power delay product is a tool to access overall performance of digital circuit. So power delay product is computed as P average into T. So what is P average? It is average power dissipated by the gate TPD. By the gate, and TPD is the average propagation delay time. So ideally, power delay product must be as small as possible. The least power delay product indicate low power consumption and fast switching speed, and its typical value for MOS gate is few picojoules. That is, it is a measure of energy. So this is power delay product is the product of P average, that is average power dissipated by the gate, and TDP, that is average propagation delay time. In CMOS circuit, the switching energy and the power delay product for 0 to 1 and to 1 from 0 to 1 and 1 to 0 computation cycle is CL into VDD square. So the lowering the supply voltage VDD, there will be lower PDP, that is power delay product. The energy efficient circuit with a low power delay product may also be performing very slowly. Thus energy delay product, the product of E and D, or we can say P and D, is sometimes a preferable metric. Next is body effect. Body effect, or we can also called as a substrate bias effect. The NMOS consists of p-type substrate and n-type channel. If p substrate is 0 volt, then body effect is not present. If it is at negative voltage, then the holes in the p substrate gets attracted towards the negative voltage and it leaves a negative ions to satisfy the space charge neutrally. Because of this extra negative ion, the thickness of the depletion layer will be increased, thus the threshold voltage is increased. Now, the transistor is a 4-terminal device. 4-terminal means gate, drain and source. These are 3 terminals which are used to control the transistor. But the bulk or body, if not properly biased, it may put the transistor inoperable. So your diagram is given with a P substrate. The PN junction is defined by a source bulk and drain bulk, which are basically 2 diodes, which must be reverse biased to stop them from leaking current from the source and drain to the substrate. That means that the source potential must always be equal or greater than a bulk potential, since the drain voltage is always greater or equal than source voltage. So we don't even consider the drain bulk junction. The CMOS device are consist of common substrate, and the substrate bias level is normally equal. So what is the effect of substrate bias? So if we consider two NMOS transistors which are connected vertically in series, then the source to substrate voltage, that is VSB, as observed vertically upward, that is VSB1 is 0 and VSB is not equal to 0. That is VSB1 and 2, SB1 and 2 both are not same, and this variation causes the variation in the threshold voltages. This variation of threshold voltage due to the source to substrate voltage is referred as a body effect. So in complex, the logic circuit body effect is significantly important. The body effect, or we can say change in threshold voltage, is because of variation in depletion charge region under oxide as a result of source substrate voltage. So body factor depends on the gate oxide thickness and substrate doping, and the value of gamma lies between the 0.4 and 0.4 to 1.2. Next is rise and fall times. So the rise time is the time for the signal to cross from 10% to 90% of VDD. Here a diagram is given where T rise is shown. It is the time required for the signal to raise from 10% to 90% of the VDD. Then and what is fall time? Fall time is reverse. So it is the time required for the signal to cross from 90% to 10% of VDD. So it is exactly opposite to that of the rise time. If an inverter is driven by a signal with really a slow rise or fall time, then the delay through the inverter is aggravated, and since the inverter is in the transition region longer and a lot of short circuit current can be generated. If excessive rise or fall time exists, then fix them by cranking up a drive source or decreasing the load. Increasing drive strength usually means widening transistors, and decreasing the load means splitting up load with buffer. So increasing drive strength usually means widening transistors, and decreasing the load usually means splitting up the load with buffers. Next is latch-up effect. So there is one major downfall to the CMOS logic gate, which is latch-up, and there are many safeguards that are done during the fabrication to suppress this, but it can still occur under a certain transient or fault conditions. The CMOS ICs have parasitic silicon controlled rectifiers. When powered up, the SCR can turn on and creating a low resistance path from power to ground, and the current can also destroy the chip. Early CMOS problem can be solved with the proper circuit and layout structure. So latch up occur due to the parasitic bipolar transistor which exists in the basic inverter. Here diagram is shown where P substrate is given, and there are two transistors, PNP and NPN transistors. Here latch up occur due to the parasitic bipolar transistor which exists in the basic inverter. This diagram shows the parasitic junction transistor with CMOS structure. Then the latch is the generation of low impedance path in CMOS chip between the power supply and the ground rails due to the interaction of parasitic PNP and NPN bipolar transistor. This BJT is for a silicon controlled rectifier with a positive feedback and virtually short circuit the power and ground rail. This causes excessive current flow and potential permanent damage to the device. The analysis of the CMOS inverter, depicting the parasitics. Here diagram is given for the latch generation or the latch up effect. So the equivalent circuit is shown here. Where Q1 being a vertical double emitter PNP transistor whose base is formed by N well with high base to collector current gain, that is beta. The Q2 is the lateral double emitter NPN transistor whose base is formed by P-type substrate, and R represents the parasitic resistance in N well structure whose value ranges from 1 kg 1 kilo ohm to 20 kilo ohm. The substrate resistance depends on the substrate structure. So here we assume R well and R substrate are significantly large so that they can cause open circuit connections, and this result in low current gain, and current would be reverse leakage current for both NPN and PNP transistor. If some external disturbances occur, it causes the collector current of one of the parasitic transistor to increase, and the resulting feedback loop causes the current to be multiplied by beta 1 and beta 2, that is gain. So this event triggers the silicon controlled rectifier, and each transistor drives the other with a positive feedback, eventually creating and sustaining a low impedance path between power and the ground rails, resulting in latch-up. So for this condition, if beta that is gain is greater than or equal to 1, then both transistors will continue to conduct a saturation current even after the triggering. There are some causes for the latch-up. So first is the slowing of voltage during the startup, causing enough displacement current due to the well junction capacitance in the substrate and well. The large current in the parasitic silicon controlled rectifier in CMOS chip can occur when input or output signals swing either far beyond the VDD level or far beyond below VSS level, so injecting a triggering current. The impedance mismatches in transmission line can cause such a disturbances in high speed circuit, and electrostatic discharge stress can cause a latch up by injecting the carriers from the device in the protection circuit into either the substrate or the well. So, sudden transient in power or ground buses may cause the latch up. Next is transmission gate. So, transmission gate is simply a digital controlled CMOS switch. The CMOS transmission gate consists of one NMOS and one PMOS transistor which are connected in parallel, and the gate voltage which is applied to these two transistors are also said to be complementary signals. So the CMOS transmission gate operate as a bidirectional switch between the node A and B, which is controlled by the signal C. The transmission gate is also called as the pass gate, and it consists of NMOS and PMOS transistor with a separate gate connection and common source and drain connections. Here the control signal S is applied. Here control signal S is applied to the gate of NMOS and its complement is applied to the PMOS. So the CMOS transmission gate operates as a bidirectional switch between node A and B and controlled by signal S. Here the substrate terminal of the NMOS transistor is connected to the ground, and the substrate terminal of PMOS transistor is connected to VDD. Here schematic diagram for the transmission gate is shown. This is the symbol for the transmission gate. Now circuit operation. Now first case 1. So first case is when the control input is high. So here the gate of PMOS transistor is high and NMOS transistor is low. If the data input is low, then VGS1 is positive and VGS2 is 0. So neither the transistor is on. If the data input is high, then VGS1 is 0 and VGS2 is negative. So again neither transistor is on. So the control input is high. When control input is high, the device is in the high impedance state. So this figure shows the operation of transmission gate when control input is high. That is, in this case both the transistors will be off. Next case is when the control input is low. Now here the gate of PMOS transistor is low and the NMOS transistor is high. If the data input is low, VGS1 is 0 and VGS2 is positive. So Q1 is off and Q2 is on. And if the data input is high, then VGS1 is negative and VGS2 is 0. So Q1 is on and Q2 is off. Thus, there is always a conduction path from input to output when control input is low. Now this figure shows the operation of transmission gate when control input is low. So if the control signal S is logic high, then both transistors are turned on and it provides a low resistance current path between the nodes A and B. On the other hand, if the control signal is low, then both transistors will be off and the path between A and B will be open circuit. And this condition is also called as high impedance state. It should be remembered that the transmission gate is combination of PMOS and NMOS in parallel. Both high and low logic transmitted in the output is at ideal level, that is high VDD instead VDD VTS is given by NMOS and low VSS given by the PMOS. The strength of the signal is measured how closely it approximates the ideal voltage source. A strong signal can sink or source more current. The strongest source of ones and zeros are power supplies or rails, that is VDD and ground. So NMOS transistor passes a strong 0 since it almost perfect switch when passing 0, but it is imperfect at passing 1. A PMOS transistor has opposite behavior, that is passing a strong 1 and degraded as 0. A PMOS and NMOS transistor alone is called a pass transistor. A parallel combination of NMOS and PMOS transistor is called transmission gate or the pass gate. The transmission gate turns on when 1 is applied to G, in which zeros and ones are both passed in acceptable form. The transmission gate using parallel combination of PMOS and NMOS, we have already seen this symbol. Then the control signal G applied to the NMOS transistor and its complement is applied to PMOS transistor. And the transmission gate is used as a bidirectional switch controlled by a transistor control signal. When control signal is high, both PMOS and MOS transistor are on and provide a low resistance path between terminals A and B, vice versa. The CMOS transmission gate are compact circuit which require a minimum transistors. So what are the applications of transmission gate? The first application is OR operation, the second is XOR operation, and third is two input multiplexer. So these are the applications of transmission gate. There are transmission gate adders also using XOR gate. Thank you.